Paul Simon, Billy Joel, Rolling Stones, Sting, Jay-Z, Chris Bodie. Andy Snitzer is the guy who's played saxophone with all those people. He's an amazing player. So I asked him to do an exclusive session for Sax School last week. Now this session was cool. It was packed with so many tips where Andy's talking about how he approaches sound, how he approaches the physicality of playing, how he approaches transcribing. And what I want to do in today's session is share a little snippet where he shared a fantastic tip, and that's about his approach to using air to get an enormous sound on his saxophone. So stick around, that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, of course, if you're new here, don't forget to click the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, click the bell notification, all that sort of stuff, so you don't miss out on these videos, because I'm putting them out all the time. Right, let's dig in and get started. G'day guys, it's Nigel here from Sax School. Hey, thanks again for joining me for one of these videos. Now this was a really special session. It was so great to have Andy come and do this session for Sax School. But you know, we do these sessions regularly, and I love to organize them for our thousands of members inside Sax School, because when we do these exclusive sessions with world-class players like Andy Snitzer, it really gives us a peek inside the minds of how amazing players like Nigel Hitchcock or Andy Snitzer or Jeff Cashua or Freddie V from Average White Band or any of these people approach practicing, playing, tone, technique, maintaining their skills. And if we can understand that, it helps us to be better saxophone players, right? And faster learners. And that's really what we're all about inside Sax School. So Andy Snitzer has been doing great things for a really long time, and I've been listening to him for ages. Chances are you've heard him as well. He's the guy that played the Waiting for a Star to Fall solo, Boy Meets Girl. In fact, he talked about that solo during this session. There's tons of stuff on YouTube. Check out this video where he's playing with Billy Joel. That's rocking, isn't it? New York State of Mind solo, and with Billy Joel, fantastic. So I want to ask Andy about how he approaches sound. How does he get that killer, huge sound? Where does the learning start, or where does the thinking start in order to get a sound like that? And this is what he had to say.
The thing about air is, and I'm sure lots of people have heard these kind of things, breathe from your diaphragm. Don't breathe from, don't exhale from your lungs, exhale from your diaphragm, whatever that means. I think it's more, I'm not an expert in physiology, right? But the way I like to perceive it is that the air is coming from a low part of my torso. It's coming from down here. And the other central idea is that the release of it is not blowing. So if I want to play loud, I don't go... What I do is, it's kind of like there's a column of air that's at the ready down there. There's something blocking it, right? There's something in its way, and I simply remove the thing that's in its way. So instead of it's a fire hose full of air, so to speak, coming all at once, not blown from some small point. That's blowing. So, and I'm playing loudly when I do that, but that's also true if you're playing soft.
Yeah, I love that. What Andy's saying there is something that I see a lot of intermediate players and beginner players really miss, and that is they're breathing from up here instead of thinking about breathing from down here and really pushing the air out, because the volume of air and the support and that sort of the the column of air, like he's talking about, that really gives your sound the width or the breadth. And when we listen, if you're a sort of beginner player just getting started with saxophone, and you're listening to a player that sounds amazing, and you're thinking, why doesn't my sound like that? That is one of the things that is the big difference. If you're breathing from your shoulders, you have a very shallow sound. If you're breathing from down here and really pushing the volume of air through your saxophone, then you get a much broader, fatter sound. So that's something you can start doing right away.
That presentation of the airstream is a super important thing, right? And so if anyone's out there, especially if you're playing like blues or rock and roll, and you're trying, and again, this is an outgrowth of my experience playing electric music as a young man and trying to make a sound that could stand up to that, right? That was substantive against that background. And anyway, but I see a lot of people on their journey. If they want to play loud, they're blowing like that, and you just get you get an ugly kind of sound. So that's a high D. That's usually you would think that's a thin note, right? It's not thin when the air is delivered in that manner.
Awesome. So what's the steps? How can we start to do this in our own playing?
If I'm sitting here and I'm preparing, right, I usually prefer to stand, but if I'm sitting here, I take a breath in, kind of expand, the lower part of my torso. The lungs are the lungs. They're where they are, right? It's more of a mental thing, but I kind of fill up the bottom part of my torso from a low point. It's not expelled from up. It's expelled from this, as I conceptualize it, as far down as my body as I can. And I build it up. So everything is staying the same. You can't see the lower part of my torso, but that sort of build up. And I mean, I can obviously, it's more effective if you're with somebody, you can touch them, etc. But the idea of filling yourself up with air as far down in your body as you can.
I think the other thing that's really interesting when I watch you play or listen to recordings, or there's loads of stuff on YouTube where you're playing as well. Playing is a very physical thing. When I'm watching you, it looks like it's a really physical thing for you. Like you're really engaged with the whole process of making the sound. And I think it's an important point because a lot of people, when they're learning, wonder why what they're playing doesn't sound as emotive or expressive or engaged as the people are listening to on recordings.
Right.
And I think that physicality is one of the important things that might be missing.
Definitely. And I mean, in my case, the physicality is both an expression. Well, it's an expression of a few things. It's an expression of commitment to the music. It's also an expression of my relationship to rhythm, to time. I'm super concerned with time. So when I'm playing, like the band is there, and also there's kind of my own internal rhythm section, clock going in and on inside me, and everything that I play is kind of like, a function of that clock or impressed upon that clock. So you're seeing that too. You're seeing my body be rhythmic.
Okay.
The final thing is, and like, this is on the subject of everyone's got to do their thing. Bob Malik, who's a friend of mine, I don't know if you know who Bob Malik is, a great tenor player here in New York. In his mid late 60s now, but he in the Mike school, the post-train school, we were playing together somewhere at some point, and he turned to me and he said, "What are you doing, man?" Like, and what he meant was, so if I want to do a Sanborn thing, Dave has the polio thing in the arm. If I want to do that, part of that sound is the way he's holding the horn, right? So I move into that position. So if it's in the course of a solo, if I'm putting that effect into place, so. That wasn't a particularly artful demonstration, but I'll move that way. Similarly with like a Texas kind of thing, right? It's the opposite. I'll be like, that's almost like an upstream thing, right? So I'll what he was mentioning, what he was saying was, what are you doing? Like, why are you moving all over the place? And the horn is at different angles and all that kind of thing. And that's the third part of my physicality, because
that's really cool. You're taking on that character.
I'm doing it as an artistic device, right? Like as a tonal device. I'm changing how I'm holding the horn and the angle of things, etc. So
yeah, that's awesome.
After he said that to me, I looked at myself on the video and compared myself to other people, and I thought, he's right. It's kind of weird.
Oh man, that was such a great session. And after that, we went on to talk about his approach to transcribing. Also, he took some questions from our members and talked about the way he approaches performing as well. Tons of really, really great information. If you want to see the whole an hour-long session that we did with Andy Snitzer, then that's available inside the Sax School members area, along with all the other sessions like this that we've done with people like Leo P. Grace Kelly, Jeff Kashua, Nigel Hitchcock, Freddie V from Average White Band, Carl Raven, who teaches at the Royal Northern Academy here, Ollie Weston from the Guildhall in London. They're all fantastic players and fantastic educators, and that's all included with your Sax School membership, along with access to over 700 other lessons and 60 plus courses. So there's tons to get there. In fact, right now it's free too, so you can jump in and register and get some free access. So I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know in a comment if you found this useful. And if you want to come and join the party, go check it out at mcgillmusic.com. I'd love to see you in there. But also go check out the other videos on my channel, because there's a bunch of other stuff here that's going to help you to improve your skills as a saxophone player. Keep practicing hard. I'll catch you next time.